5 games, 4 losses, and a regular season narrative that says the San Antonio Spurs have the Oklahoma City's Thunder's number. Welcome back to the Foxx Den, and tonight we're stripping away the emotion and pulling out the cold, hard receipts from the 2025-26 season series. Everyone is talking about the Western Conference Finals collision course, but nobody's talking about how the tape reveals 2 completely different teams, depending on who actually stepped onto the court that night. We're diving into the box scores, exposing the exact injury gaps, identifying who got bullied on the glass, and figuring out if a 4-1 regular season is a massive warning sign or just an optical illusion. So let's get started.
Welcome back to all our friends, family, and yes, even our foes, to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, where Todd and his sports-passionate kids are ready to bring you the latest updates and insights on all things sports. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
All right, as always, I am the Podfather, along with the dog, G-Mac, and the Den's Enforcer. Bench McDonald is with us as well. We just got some updated news, and we're not going to talk about that a whole lot, but Kellen, what did we just find out a few minutes ago?
It's official. We all knew it was official. We all knew it was coming, but J-Dub is returning tomorrow officially, so can't wait.
Exactly right. I'm excited. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get after it. Let's get started with this fun-filled evening. I want you guys to look back. I know we were 4-1 this past season. I want you to remember Game 5. There was no Shea, no J-Dub, no Chet, no Hartenstein, no Dort, no Caruso, and the Spurs beat our deep set of reserves by just 10 points at home. And I know we had several guys that just were just basically, obviously bench players that played. But does this 4-1 regular season record actually mean anything when our entire core skipped the final game?
It doesn't mean a thing. 2 of those, one was either the second night of a back-to-back or our third game in 4 days. So those already are like with a little bit of an asterisk or whatever. And then also we were going up and down with injuries and health, and they met us like perfectly timed, like a 2-week rut. That was probably Shea's worst 2 weeks of the season. I know definitely our worst like 6 weeks of the season, because we were losing to everybody. Like we were losing to Phoenix, Charlotte. Those are the first 2 that popped in my head to show how crazy it was, how bad we were playing. And if you think back, we beat, or like the regular season record against a team doesn't mean anything, because we beat Portland 19. We swept them. And so we went all into that series real confident, got smoked. We also beat Dallas a couple of years ago, so that should have been a no-brainer. Still got smoked. Not really smoked, but so I don't think it really means anything.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't say it didn't mean much if the roles were reversed and we were up 4-1, because we had swept the Lakers this year, and I was like, yeah, I don't know. I still think we're better than them, but still a 7-game series and all that kind of stuff. And so obviously that turned out for the Thunder, because even I didn't look at all the Spurs roster for the people that we had missed, but like the one game that we beat the Spurs, like Hartenstein didn't even play. We didn't have Lou Dort in one of the deal. Like in every game that we played, all 5 games, at least 2 of our top 8 players did not play. And like I said, one of the games we played, Hartenstein didn't win, which you would think, or didn't play, but you would think that was one that you're like, well, it's going to be hard to win without all our bigs. Well, we didn't have him, and we still won. So what does that mean? It means nothing. There's a lot that goes on in a 7-game series, as we saw last year. It felt like the Nuggets and the Pacers series, every single game was almost completely separate from the game before.
The following players for the Thunder played in 4 games this year: SGA, Jalen Williams, or J-Dub, Chet, Isaiah Hartenstein, Dort, and Caruso. The Case and Wallace, Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, J. Will, and Isaiah Joe played in all 5 games, and then McCain did not play at all in any of the games.
And we had Wiggins, who played 26 minutes in the last real game we played against them. Like, he's probably not going to touch the floor. That shows how much different we are.
Game 3, we had our entire lineup out there, and we got drilled they beat a full starting lineup. And again, that's just regular season. Any concern?
Well, yeah, there's concerns. The Spurs are good. It's not going to be easy, but once again, it's like Gannon said, gave history of where series in the regular season do not matter because you make so many adjustments because you in the regular season could be a back-to-back. It could be somebody's playing that's kind of hurt. Could be something. Who knows what goes on? And this is on either side. And the next thing you know, then you turn around and you go, okay, we're going to go play the Wizards the next game. And you're like, okay, we'll get back on track. And it seems like everything's fine. That was just one game. And so there's concern because they're good. But I was concerned with the Suns and the Lakers too, just because they're in the playoffs. They're good teams.
Yeah, you never know. That's the whole thing is you just never know what could possibly happen, right?
That one game, like you said, we had all of our starters and still lost by 15. That was our third game in 4 days. I don't know how you can expect a team to play very well in those kind of circumstances. And I like what Clay said of like, I think there's reason to be like, to take note because they're a very good team. Like historically, they're still very good. But I think people have misplaced reasoning as to why we should take note of this team. And it's not because of the regular season record. It's just because they are a very good team.
We could have beat them 4-1, and you'd still have the same concerns going into the series
100%.
because it's a good matchup.
Yeah. Sure. I've got December 23rd. We lost. We were the second. We were the back-to-back. We were the second game. And to Gannon's point, December 25th, then we lost at home here against them. So that would have been, what'd you say, 3 and 4 games or 3 games in 4 days. 13th, we won at home. Yeah. February 4th, we lost. It was a back-to-back, and we were the second game, obviously. I did put down that since we lost to them last, we were 24-6, and just in the regular season, the final 30 games. And you got a reminder there that we had 2 of those games where we set everybody, not including the 8 games we just won in the playoffs. So what would that be? 32-6,
32-4, realistically.
Yeah. So regardless, so I know we shot some horrific 3-point shots or 3-point percentages against them. I think it was, I say horrific, but 33% in the series. San Antonio had 37.4. So they did better than we did. Is that a concern at all? Or are we just clanking some open shots that you expect us to hit in the playoffs?
That's a concern for us no matter who we play. Our 3 points either on or off. And they're similar to us where they have such a defensive anchor in the paint that their guards can be a little more aggressive on the perimeter, which is exactly how we play. But if we can get them to fall, we also have some guys that can hit some really good mid-range shots, and we just gotta. You can't be scared. You have to test Wemby in the paint.
Sure,
that's what the Timberwolves did, and even when he had 12 blocks, they still won that game. So,
what do you guys expect to happen? Do you expect us to go at Wemby?
100%.
Yeah. You can't change your game.
I'm curious,
especially when we're a team that doesn't shoot threes.
I'm curious. I know Caruso had a game where he shot 2 for 12. I would want to know his 3-point percentage against them in the series because he was the main reason. Because if he hits just 32% or 33%, that's still not great. But compared to probably in the 18 to 20 range, that would be a total game changer because it spaces the floor. I was watching some clips. A lot of Shea's drives in the mid-range would get stopped because they could just collapse from Caruso's guy. So if they can't collapse, that's an easy mid-range, easy layup. Or if they do, hopefully a wide-open three-pointer that you have confidence in. So I think, like Kellen said, that's a concern no matter who we're playing. But I do think we'll attack Victor. I think we'll wear him down. That's what we do against any of the best players we're playing. Like, we wore down Luka. He wasn't the reason they beat us that last series. We wore down Jokic. Anytime we play a team with like one stud, we go right at him and wear him down.
So in the regular season, Luke Cornett averaged 1.2 offensive rebounds per game, but in game 4, he had 6 offensive rebounds, and they beat us on the glass overall in that game. So how does a non-traditional, non-spacing center give our front court so much trouble?
Is that the game Hartenstein didn't play?
It was game 4. I'd have to look that up because he missed one.
Check.
I think people like that is there wasn't any game plan for him. You know, we just go out, and then probably we maybe even gone small, or we only went one big when Cornette is in, so he's going to get his numbers, and they're like, yeah, we're going to let Cornette beat us. And then, you know, I'm sure Hartenstein, Holmgren went out of the game whenever he was in the game, and so, you know, just not as many big guys in there to try to rebound. So I expect him to probably have a pretty good series against us.
And
Hartenstein missed game 5, but go ahead.
Well, everybody missed game 5, so that doesn't even count.
Well, I'm just saying he didn't miss 4.
Hartenstein are you talking about Cornette? The game, that's the game we won, correct? Yeah, that's the game we won. Hartenstein did not play. And I think the best plan you do is put Chet on anytime Victor's on the court and take Hartenstein out, because he is not a good match for San Antonio. And then you match Hartenstein's minutes with Cornette, because he'll be the better player in that matchup. But anytime they switch it off for Victor, you got to have Chet on there. So
you think
his
Chet
6
needs to be
offensive
on Victor?
rebounds. It's not a one-on-one game, but yes, you have to match their minutes, because Victor tears up Hartenstein and the rest of the team if there's nobody else out there. And so I think you have to put Chet on him, but then still have the whole team, obviously.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's not like 5 or 6 guys matched up with me at some point during the series.
Well, it's going to be
100%.
Chet, J-Dub, Caruso, J. Will. I'd love to see Kendrick in there, like all those guys, because you don't want to get in foul trouble, but also like it's a tough job. But if everybody kind of takes a shift, they can put some damage in.
Well, the advantage, like, we learned last year when Caruso took on the Joker, was his job was to try to keep him from catching the ball. It's not always going to happen. But then when he turns around, you got a Hartenstein and Chet to guard him right there underneath the basket if he does catch the ball. So that's the advantage, is that you have a smaller guy on him, and to try to slow him down, but I'm not going to win a one-on-one battle, but then you can double team him with a big instead of Chet getting beat, and then you turn around, you got Caruso underneath the basket or Shea underneath the basket that can't really probably do much. So it's going to be so many different things. But once again, we played them 5 times this year, and how many times last year? So they know. They've known for a long time what we're going to do, but it's been like since early February since we played them. Is that right?
Yeah, early February.
That's crazy that they didn't schedule us a little bit later on in the year.
It'll look, I think, a lot like, I think we'll get reminders of the Denver series, because that one looked like a chess match, because you would see like for 3 minutes this guy would guard him and we would run this kind of defense, but then like right whenever something switched, it would totally change. So like you would see each little minute almost had a different like game plan. It felt like he was like doing each little piece at a time. So I think it's going to remind us of that. And I think we also didn't really show our best cards this whole entire season playing them. I think we have the best saved for now.
And that's where the advantage of having time off. Those guys were working 15, 16 hours a day coming up with game plans.
100%. And the one game we beat them, from what I remember, we played very active off ball. Like anytime, like you talked about just denying him the ball, anytime the ball went up to get to him, you'd see 1 or 2 guys like swarm him and just put a hand in there. And not like for just pointless contact or the risk of a foul, but I remember even Shea had a couple, I think, just kind of where you just batted away, and you just have to stay physical with them, because if anybody can play a physical game, it's us. So I think we just continue to play that.
Well, Shea averaged 29.5 points against the Spurs this year in the 4 games. However, he was 19% from three-point range. I know it's important for him to hit those three-point shots so they do not make him one-dimensional where he's having to try to drive to the basket and then hopefully get a foul or be able to get past Wemby or whatever. How do you think Dagnall is going to draw it up to ensure that he gets some open shots? Or is he going to have to create his own?
I think it's just going to have to be off screens and getting a switch, and then him creating his own. That's just anything he does is usually him creating it himself.
And I expect them to do a game plan of, we're going to do the best we can on Shea and have the rest of the team step up and prove themselves to beat us, in which I think we will, but I think they're going to run more of that, like focus on him like the Lakers did. And then we're going to need Chet, Jalen Williams, AJ Mitchell to really step it up.
And the difference with the Spurs and the Lakers is they got players that can match up with him better one-on-one than the Lakers do.
100%.
Chet averaged just 10.8 points in 28 minutes against the Spurs. He was a minus 16. So is Wemby firmly winning the psychological and physical battle down low? And what does Chet need to do to overcome it?
He just needs to play the way he has for the last 2 months and have the confidence to do whatever he's got to do. Wemby's a good matchup for him, yes, but it didn't seem like he was very aggressive. So I think if he just comes in, and he's been incredible the past 2 to 3 months, if he just keeps any of that momentum, he'll be perfectly fine.
I agree. I think the aggressiveness that I've seen when Chet goes against him is I've never had anybody in my life that can guard me and block my shot. And so he plays like that when he plays against Wemby. And so now, granted, you don't want to get your shot blocked, but go at him. And I think they probably weigh about the same, just go at him. If we could ever get Wemby in foul trouble, that would be great.
That would be great.
And Wemby's, that's why Shea wins MVPs and stuff like that. It's just the consistency that he has, like almost every time the game number's almost the exact same. And Wemby's not consistent at all. Just take back the Minnesota series where he had one game with 12 points. And of course, had the one game where he had 12 blocks, but he didn't have 12 blocks every game, and then he gets kicked out one game. And so he's kind of can be inconsistent. And, so he may get 30 on us one night and 12 the next. I think that's where the Spurs are going to have a lot of problems, is he's not going to get 25, 30 points on us every single night because he's just not that type of a player.
One, I think, too, you mentioned psychological warfare. I think he's going to get irritated because have you heard the stories of players talking about how Tim Duncan would play? He would bust them up by doing some move, and he wouldn't talk any trash or really try to get in your head. He would just play his game and mind his own business, and that in itself would get in their head. And I think him being just the hothead that he is going to get irritated that we're going to play our game, not really talk much mess. We're not pushovers. We'll stand our ground, but we're not doing it in spite of anybody else. We're just playing our game. And I think you think about a playoff series, you play him once, 2 days later you play him again, 2 days later you play him again, 2 days later, you play them again. Imagine just game after game after game. You're just getting now you have a really good game 2, but then game 3, they do something different, and then you have a rough time. And it's and you just have to face that every single game. And I think after a few games, I think he's going to be fed up, and he's going to have to either take it up a notch, or he's just going to crumble in the next season and have to figure it out.
Well, definitely. And then I know I'm obviously not a NBA player, but I know when I played in, high school, the more I played a team and I started feeling a little bit more comfortable, the better I felt like I played. And I think after time, I believe Chet has a good shot to get Wemby's number. And I think that would frustrate Wemby more than frustrate Chet if it's opposite. That's just my thoughts. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Just seeing how Wemby gets all frustrated. So you're talking about Isaiah Hartenstein a minute ago. But he had a team worst minus 26 in the plus minus. So for a guy brought in to bring a physical presence to us, why are the Spurs outscoring us heavily when he's on the court?
I don't think because Hartenstein can't score on him.
Yeah.
And if Hartenstein's out of the game and it's Chet and J Will, in the game, or just Chet, you got to put Chet outside, and then that pulls Wemby away from the basket. But if Hartenstein's out in the game, he's out there screening and just making, he makes good passes and stuff. But Wemby can just stand in the lane, and so it makes a huge difference on the plus minus.
And he's just too slow, I think, on the defensive end.
Hartenstein's more of a classic center, and when you match up against Victor, he's more of the new age center where they're a little more quick, they're lighter, they can shoot the 3 ball. And Hartenstein's that's just not a good matchup for him. It's nothing personal against him. It's just this isn't the series you expect him to be at his best.
Exactly like you said, Hartenstein needs to be in there when Cornette's playing.
And what's funny is it's okay to say this isn't his strongest matchup, but if we win this and play the Knicks, he's going to feast against the Knicks. So it's just funny. It's really not a knock on him. It's just the matchups don't work out. And I'll be very excited to see him play New York City because I think he's going to feast there against his former team too, which would be cool.
Well, Jay Will averaged 14.2 in all of the games. In the game 5 where we set everybody, he had 24 points. Should Dagnall consider playing him more over Hartenstein to help combat the speed of the Spurs?
Yeah, and space the floor.
I think they're all going to probably get about equal time.
What about De'Aaron Fox? He averaged 17.2, shot 12-19 in game 3. If the games are tight in the fourth quarter, do we truly have anybody that can that's reliable to stop him. I feel Dort has some issues when he plays De'Aaron Fox. I think Case and Wallace would be a much better matchup for Fox. I don't know what are your guys' thoughts?
I think getting somebody like Jada back in the lineup, that creates some terrible matchups for them. And so to be able to stop any of their guards if needed. But then, like you talked about, you just listed, you got Wallace, you got Dort, you got Caruso, we hadn't even mentioned AJ Mitchell, who's playing incredible these last few games. Even Wiggins might possibly could come in. Isaiah Joe, and they're great defensively, but you could just rotate these guys around and find what matches. And so I think that's the advantage that we have on all of their guards, because they got 3-4 good ones, and we got about 8 guards.
Well, it's also not a 1v1 ISO league where it's like, oh, well, we just have to hope for the best with Dort on Fox. I think we put Dort on Fox, but I think we just switch everything, because the creation that he would get was just from screens and movement. I think you just switch everything. And if you know that going into it, I think we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about Wemby for a second. How do you feel if he's just out there trying to shoot threes? Would that be a good sign?
Yeah, because he's not in there getting offensive rebounds.
We shot incredible 89% from the line in game 1 and 93% in game 5, completely outclassing the Spurs free throw efficiency. Can our superior charity stripe execution swing the margins? And they did have a 21 more free throws than we did, so I don't want to hear any of this free throw merchant garbage from the Spurs fans. We got to hit our free throws.
I think what that makes me think of is I think Castle is going to foul out, 2 games in this series.
Really? Okay.
I think he's too hyper aggressive, and I think he plays the victim enough to not take enough accountability on his own that I think we could even see it tomorrow. I think he's going to foul out twice this series.
Okay. It's never good to have an injury. However, J-Dub's coming back, and we've seen AJ Mitchell raise his game up in these playoffs. Do you expect to see the same against the Spurs with AJ Mitchell? And what kind of an X factor could he play?
I think we'll see a lot from him. I personally really hope he comes off the bench, just because that's a great relief whenever either Shea or Dub is out, or both potentially. But I think when he's so shifty, and he's incredible with his little layups. I think he'll be the best one going up against Victor in the paint, because his layups are just different than everybody else's. And I think he'll be able to get in there and score. So I think between Dub being injured and Shea not having his best series against the Lakers, that him and a lot of other guys did rise up really well. And I think in the end, everybody says we're not battle tested because we played the Suns and the Lakers, but because of what we went through, I think our role players are battle tested, and I think he's going to be one of those that really shines in this series.
People talk about battle tested. They talk about playoff experience. Does all that truly mean much? Or is it just something that people just say just to try to make it to where their team has a little bit better of a shot, or that sounds better of some sort, or an excuse, or whatever you want to call it?
I thought it was just something people said to sound all cool or to be biased or whatever before we won a championship. But then after we failed 2 years ago and lost to Dallas, and then you could see like the exact results of that failure becoming strengths, I realized I think it is a true thing. And they aren't battle tested. They lost 3 games between Portland and Minnesota. I don't care that we played Phoenix and LA. We still didn't lose. Like whether it's an easy opponent or a hard opponent, if you win, you win. And we're battle tested last year, the year before. Not really much this year, but they have none. And I always say that a team that's really good needs 1 year to learn in the playoffs before they're a real contender. And I think people will see that this year with the Spurs.
Totally agree. And we played 90 games, so we've been battle tested. Yeah. And I think we're going to get the most out of the Lakers series is nobody has really, in all the last 3 or 4 years that I can remember against Shea, I've never seen anybody like completely focus for an entire game how much double teaming Shea. And we won 4 straight games. And so I like that because, like last year, remember when Denver started zoning us, like, well, nobody's really even done that and been so hyper-focused on it. And it cost us a couple of games because we weren't battle-tested in that way. So it's like Gannon said, it's not just that these last 8 games, maybe we were so much better. It's the last 3 years of things that we've learned. And San Antonio, they hadn't been in the playoffs like this in forever. And yeah, they're good, but there's a lot of things you learn on how to play a 7-game series, much different than playing back-to-backs or playing, 3 games in 7 days or whatever the case may be. I think it's a long-term thing, not just the last 3 weeks.
Well, let's get into some predictions. Again, I'm going to start with you. I want you to go through like what your thoughts are. I know game 1, I want to know what you think is going to happen, and then I want to know what you think, how far this series is going to go. What's your thoughts?
I think game 1 is the hardest for me to pick because we've had time off. That could be a good thing. We've had plenty of time to plan. We have Jalen Williams back. We're a great team. But we've had a week off. We had a week off against Denver, right before Denver, and right before Indiana. And both of those games we played really, really well and barely lost at the end. What both teams led, Denver, I think,
We basically led
closer,
the whole time.
But we basically led, for 100 of those minutes. That being said, I think we lose game 1. I think we win game 2, lose game 3, and then we win the next 3. And I think we win 4-2. I think we close it out on the road, which is hard to do. But I think you see some of our players take it to a level we've never seen before, just to close it out and send us to the finals.
Kellen?
Game 3, really quick too, I'll mention.
Go.
Game 3, we are historically bad. Not historically bad, but just like we lose game 3.
Historically, we are bad.
Yes. That's a good way to put it. So I think game 3 is a lock to lose, sadly. So we need to protect home court, and if we don't, we'll just have to see them step up like they did against Denver and Indiana. So,
Kellen, what are your thoughts?
I think we come out tomorrow. We play really well. It's a battle. I'd bet we're down by 6 at halftime, but we have a good third quarter. AJ Mitchell comes in to start the 4th for Shea and keeps control, and I think that game feels pretty good. Game 2, we win. I think they win game 3. They have the home court advantage and just come back with a strong punch. Game 4, I think we win. I think somebody like Shea probably drops like 40 that game or something like that. I could see them. I don't want to lose at home, but I could see like their season's on the line. They come at us with everything they have game 5 and beat us, and we wrap it up in 6. Or if we wrap it up in 5, I think they win game 4 because when you're down 3-0, that people say a 4th game in a sweep is the hardest one to win because they're trying to keep their season alive.
Mm-hmm.
Clay?
Well, this is interesting because I think we brought up some points about 3-point shooting, and it seems like the last couple of years in the playoffs when we shot terrible from the 3-point line is when we get beat. Remember, I don't remember which game it was against Minnesota. We just got destroyed by them because we couldn't make a 3 to save our lives. Game 3, and I honestly think if we shoot above 40% from the 3-point line as a team, which is brutal, but if we do that, it could be a sweep. That's our weakness. Yeah. I don't think that will happen, but if we did that, that's the thing, And I always like it those first few because it seems like Dort always gets the first 3, and if he makes it, I'm like, whew, man, this is feeling pretty good already. That Dort's already got 1, probably going to get a couple more. But my prediction is, I'm hoping we talked about the battle tested that we've learned about the game 1 that when we lost like to Denver and to Indianapolis last year, Indiana, I'm sorry, that maybe that will teach us about how to play in this game 1, even with the layoff or whatever. But I'm going to go with Gannon, and I'm going to predict that we're going to lose game 1. And I think we're going to end up closing it out in 7 games at home.
Well, I will tell you, I think we will win game 1. I do not want to lose game 1. I know, Gannon, we've talked about it, and you said everybody just calm down. If we lose that first game, don't freak out too much. We can't afford to lose game 1. I think we win game 2. I think they win game 3. And then after that, I expect it to go 7. I want to say that I think that they'll win 1 at our place and we'll win 1 at theirs, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I think it'll go 7 games. I think it's going to be intense. I think it's going to make the rivalry even more bigger than it already is right now. I think Shea.
There isn't a rivalry yet.
What's that?
Until if they beat us this series is a rivalry, but I don't think there is one yet.
That's a rivalry. It's still a rivalry. It still is a rivalry right now. Yeah, it's our biggest rivalry.
It's a forced rivalry by the media.
Yeah, it could be,
yeah.
but I just think it's the
I don't
two
think we
best. I
have a
think it's
rival.
the two best teams right now. And that's why I think it's just this should be the NBA Finals. But I expect us to win it in 7. I hope it's in 6. I hope it's a sweep. But San Antonio is a good team. I'll tell the San Antonio Spurs fans, I don't hate you. I don't hate the Spurs, but I like you. I want to beat you. I want to just destroy you guys. I know you guys want to destroy us. There's a lot of banter going back and forth between us and you. And I'm tired of all this free throw. Don't blame it on the refs, either team. You guys sure don't blame it on anybody, because after we beat you guys, I don't want to hear it. And nobody else does. No other Thunder fans do want to either. But you know what? You can say whatever you want, because we're gonna beat you. It's happening and it's coming. I just think it's important that we do not get down, a 15-point deficit, anything like that. I just don't do it.
Well, also, I can't remember which game it was, but we had a huge lead and blew it. But like sometimes whenever we say that we were 1-4 in the series in the regular season, people just assume we got smoked. But like most of those games were still pretty close.
Can y'all hear me? Okay, because it's showing it's reconnecting. So, well, that's the Foxx Den Sports Podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. We will comment. We will be ready. We'll fire back, because we've been firing back a lot lately. People have been busting some chops. It's okay. It's fun banner. Just know you're going to lose. Until next time, remind everybody, stay savage, not average. Goodbye, everybody. Boomer.
Thank you for listening to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast. Be sure to subscribe for free to our YouTube channel, Foxx Den Sports. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Foxx Den Sports, and on Facebook at Foxx Den Sports Podcast. You can also email us at foxdensports@yahoo.com. This has been Foxx Den Sports.